Hey, this is Josh Keaton, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Second one, here
You
we
have
go.
failed me for the last time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here she goes!
Did I hit the thing yet?
I don't know.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Am I distracting you?
No.
Am I distracting you now? I'm not on your side. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Mom, he's touching me.
I'm not touching him. We will turn this podcast around.
That's right. Right now.
I'm good. I didn't want to leave home anyway. My shows are on. We can begin now.
There's nothing wrong with your podcast player. Do not attempt to adjust the volume. My voice still sounds like crap, and it feels like crap, too, in my throat. Oh, God. Hello, and welcome back into our studio. You are now inside Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. I'm, of course, Chief Jim Mike, and joining me once again, as always, is that good old detective, David Draper. Hello, Dave. How are you?
I'm well, Mike.
That's good. That's good. Today we are continuing on in our new journey as we put our trench coats on and jump back in time with Columbo. These are the Colombo files here inside Studio 2009. And yeah, letting you know, as always, Tubi.tv is where I'm watching these. Dave has the DVDs because apparently I'm a swine and he's not. Yep.
No, it's I'm an old man and want to hold on to my physical media. And
yeah. I understand. Trust me, as somebody who is rebuying a lot of physical media these days when they upgrade it to various improved image qualities, I completely understand that.
See, my eyesight is garbage anyway, so it's like I went through college and it was like I had like my copies of Star Wars were ripped off of I think Showtime. So like every 5 seconds the Showtime logo would pop up at the bottom of it. But I mean, by the time I got to college, they were like, that blob is Luke Skywalker. That dark blob is Chewbacca. You know, the white blob is probably a stormtrooper of some kind. So, like, not that much different nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, don't you wear glasses? It's like, yes. And my glasses can discern a blob over there. The tan blob is Colombo.
Oh no!
No, it's not quite that horrible. I mean, they still let me drive.
That's
for now.
Good.
They're like, you use your glasses on the test. You got to use your glasses when you drive. I'm like, I thought that was legally required to wear my glasses when I drive.
Yeah, exactly.
I got my glasses because I couldn't read the road signs.
Exactly.
I literally was driving with a friend, and he's like, what's that sign say? And I was like, not even a joke. I was like, what sign? And he's like, oh dear.
Yeah. See, my vision is 20/200. So
God.
Technically I am legally blind, even though I can see. But for me, it's more about distance than anything else. So
yeah, it's
like up close, I'm fine. Like 2 inches away from my screen, I'm absolutely fine. But from here, and people aren't going to be able to hear this.
Because it's a podcast, Mike.
Well, no, people will be able to hear it, but I'm gonna do this over here, away from the microphone. So over there, down that hallway where my front door is, if there was a stop sign on the back of my front door to my apartment, I probably would not be able to read STOP, but I would know red, white, and I could make the letters out, and I could tell you that that's a stop sign. So yeah, no, and even. Good.
I was gonna say I'm not sure what my numbers are, but like sitting here now, I can look at my computer and see that fine. I can see the stuff in front of it, but like 10 feet away, stuff on the wall is blurry.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's crazy.
There's a magic zone too, where like everything like goes from focus to out of focus.
Yep.
Which is great when I go to like toy shows and stuff, because like I gotta have my glasses on to be able to see the room, and then I get up to the thing and tried bifocals, but didn't work.
Yeah, bifocals didn't work, and then at one point they wanted me to try trifocals, and I'm like, not if you want me to be able to walk. Nope, that's not going to happen. So
we don't really care. Walking is sort of not really we don't really care about that. We're just here to sell some glasses. So
right, yeah, well, Uh-huh.
What you do with the rest of your life is up to you, pal. We just want
Exactly.
your glasses sold.
See, and my thing
Walk.
is,
What are we, a podiatrist?
not yet, but you will be. I'll stop going to the eye doctor and start going to the foot doctor.
You know who also went to the eye doctor? Peter Falk, who had a tumor in his eye as a child and had it removed, which is why one of his eyes is weird. In Columbo, the subject of today's podcast.
Yes,
See how I did that? That's pretty slick.
Yeah, it's pretty slick, and I'm still going to ruin it for you.
Oh, son of a...
Well, you mentioned how
For the record, people, I try to get us back on topic.
It's okay. It's not like we're talking about
David.
the weather yet. For me, in my vision, I have my right eye is my dominant eye, and I have nothing but center tunnel. As long as I'm looking forward, I'm fine. My left eye, I have no center. I have all peripheral, and I see like anything out of the left corner of my eye, but I can't see crap out of the right corner of my right eye. It's wacky, crazy, and weird. But yes, Mr. Colombo, we are here, and this episode is suitable for framing, and it is not because I had seen this like 2 months ago, but I swear I recognize Ross Martin, who plays Dale Kingston. Like, I'm like, where have I seen this guy before?
Wild Wild West.
Oh, okay, well.
What? Well, where have you seen him before? What else has he been in?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like,
He was Artemis Gordon in Wild Wild. I made a joke last episode and you stepped on it. Yeah, like he was Artemis Gordon. He was the Kevin Kline role in the actual show Wild Wild West.
In the show, yes. Problem is, I never saw the show, so I'm thinking, yeah, I mean,
it's okay, but like, I don't know. It's just you're old enough that you've had endless hours in front of a TV with just like I just assume that people pick up stuff by osmosis. You know, it's like. I'm not saying it was my favorite show or that I watched it regularly, but I mean,
right.
I'm 53 years old. It was on, and there were times where like it was on TV, and I passed by a TV and I watched it, and the movie was terrible enough that like I kind of like made mental notes about like the existence of Wild Wild West. Like,
so
Dr.
you wanted
the little person in the show, not a crippled Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The osmosis character for me in this is the lawyer.
Don Amici.
Because that, ladies and gentlemen.
Who, by the way, gets like top billing, and he's in like 5 minutes of the
show. Yeah, I know. But as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, oh my God, that's Mortimer Duke from Trading Places. Yeah. Yes. I was like, holy crap. Like, Mortimer, your brother, fuck him. Oh, God. Yeah, no. But this one.
You know, I was kind of afraid you were going to say something like that.
Yeah, suitable for framing. It's an art heist, folks, or an art something or other.
Well, it's a murder.
Yeah, it's a murder
thing, but the impetus is art.
Yes. And, there's a line in here by one of the, I think is it the wife or literally I have the audio somewhere. I specifically, you know.
Well, okay. The premise is that I can't remember the actor's name. I keep wanting to call him Artemis Gordon. The killer is the nephew of this rich guy who has a huge art collection.
Yep.
And he's going to leave it all to the rich guy is going to leave it all to his ex-wife when he dies.
Right.
And Artemis Gordon. What's the character's name? For the love of God, help me.
It's it's Dale Kingston.
Dale is an art critic. Has become an art critic. Loves art. So he basically shoots his uncle, and then like kind of clever. Like he's got this whole elaborate alibi plan. So he wraps up the body in a electric blanket to keep it warm, to screw up the time of death, and steals some painting. Like the room trashing scene is kind of hilarious.
It is, yes.
Because it's so kind of haphazard and half-assed. My favorite is he's throwing chairs around, and then he goes up to one painting and, like, tilts it slightly. Like, there.
Yeah.
No common civilized man would tilt a painting like that.
Nope.
And he steals two, I can't remember, paintings by a very famous painter. Monet? Are they?
Oh,
Watercolors.
Oh, the watercolors. God.
I think they were supposed to be from a very famous, but I can't remember who they were supposed to be from.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the note taker, and you don't know. So
yeah, I skipped.
The important thing is that they're worth a crap ton of money.
Yep.
And he's got an accomplice who's a painter, a young woman who's a painter, and she's enamored with him. And she also kind of hopes that he'll help her career as a painter. So he goes off to this gallery while she kind of monitors. She kind of stays at the house with the corpse being warmed, and she's got the paintings. He goes off to a gallery opening so that he can publicly be seen by everybody. He's always like, "Oh, my watch is broken. What time is it?" So that everyone will go, "Oh, it's this time." So when the police come around, they'll go, "Oh, he was here at 9:45 or whatever." Mm-hmm. And the artist of the hour actually is Vic Tayback, who was Mel, the cook on Alice, playing a very scuzzy bohemian artist guy. So I kept going, he's Mel, the cook from Alice. And then for some reason, see, every now and then there are little elements of the Colombo world that don't really seem to fit in with, like, the world that I live in or understand sometimes. And in this one, it's like there's a cop who drives by the house every night at a certain time. And as he drives by, the accomplice fires a gun, so he hears the gun, and she runs out the back, and he comes into the house. And of course, she's removed the blanket, so like he finds the body and it's still warm.
Yeah, it's still warm. Oh boy, so that must mean she would have just left just now out the back.
Oh, he just died. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Columbo gets involved because it's murder, and that's his thing.
Yep.
I was kind of like leaving him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He gets involved, and during the thing of the nephew trying to do his alibi, where he's at this hoity-toity art party, the relationship to the pieces, the laughter from the women in that scene went on way too damn long. I don't care if it is 50-year-old television. I understand they're supposed to be high society art people, but those laughs were way too long and too generous for a really bad line.
Well, but you could also interpret that as he's a big shot art critic, and you want to impress. Because I mean, the gallery owner has a whole thing about, I got him at my showing, and no one else there could say that, and he's always in Paris and London. I mean, he's. It's interesting because he actually says that he's not like a rich guy, because I've mentioned earlier that one of the big themes of Colombo is class.
Yep.
And he kind of says, "Oh, I'm not a rich guy," but he is. I mean, art critics are not like blue collar jobs.
No.
And frankly, I made a joke, I think, in between episodes about how, like, in the beginning when he's dressed for the art gallery, he looks like Austin Powers. I mean, and that's not even like a semi-facetious riff. I mean, he kind of has a velvet jacket with big fluffy lace collars or cuffs. He's very Austin Powers looking. Like he's very upper Snoopy class. He may not have money, and I think that's again a theme, is that a lot of these people who are very upper class and powerful actually don't have the money they're always like, they're squabbling for money just like anybody else.
Yep.
And then phase 2 of his little scheme kind of starts to kick in. As Columbo starts sniffing around, he's got to move into phase 2, which is that the accomplice has to be dealt with. He's got to get the paintings back from the accomplice. And when he does, a rock gets involved, a large rock. And I was like, oh, I don't remember him murdering the accomplice, but he does. Murders her and stages a car wreck. And that sort of leads, and then Columbo gets dragged into that because it's a seemingly separate murder, but also involves an artist. And there's a nice little, like, every now and then there'll be like a little misdirect. Like you think Columbo's going to get like a key clue, but he doesn't. It doesn't pan out. And this one is the accomplice's landlady has pictures of the guys the accomplice is dating.
Yep.
And you think, aha. And of course he's not in the pictures. Like, She's like, there's this older guy that she was seeing, and it's like, ah ha ha. But it was a different older guy. So was it?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Yeah, it was a different guy.
We started the show by talking about how terrible my eyesight is. So
yeah, no, you're not wrong. Because I thought, because I thought, like, oh, he's gonna get it. It's gonna be
the trick. That's the cute
right. That's the trick. The trick is that he has to go to the landlady, and the landlady, like, I don't pay attention to everything, but I know all the gossip. I don't gossip, but I know everything. And I have all these pictures, and she's one of those little old ladies that will talk your ear off. Like, she goes through like 3 pictures before she actually finds the supposed picture. And yeah, no, that's not the guy. That was not Dale. That was somebody completely different.
And then we go into phase 3. Although there's a critical moment during the sequence where after Dale gets the pictures back, he was very arrogant about Columbo. He kind of has like a lot. Sometimes the criminals, there's a mistaken belief that the criminals always kind of buy into Columbo's shaggy dog routine.
Yeah,
and a lot of time they're onto him pretty early on. And
yeah,
Dale's kind of very onto him early on, and even like arrogantly goes, "Here's a key to my house.
Yeah, he does.
Go search my house when I'm not around." And so he comes back from having killed the accomplice with the paintings in like a little folio, and Columbo's there, and he's like, "Ooh, crap!
What are you doing in my house, Columbo?" "Well, you said I could stop by, and I was reading these books here."
I could stop by and borrow these books about art. And
Yeah, I was looking at these books about art and stuff, and yeah.
And the critical thing happens there where he's like, "Ooh, what do you got in the folio?" And Dale kind of like, "No, leave them alone. They're not yours. Don't touch them." Sorry, I'm used to dogs. They're not yours.
That's right.
Which is a critical moment because Columbo slips his hand into the folio to grab, So then phase 3 kicks in, which is you go to Don Amici's office. He's the lawyer for the uncle, and he's reading the will. And Columbo is. Did I miss a scene? Because Columbo's already very friendly with the uncle's ex-wife.
I don't.
Because they were very cordial.
So yes, you are missing a scene because he goes to her house because they talk to the ex-wife. The police talk to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember he was in the house and Dale shows up, but I thought that was a later scene. Maybe I'm wrong.
Let's see here.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Sure.
But I do remember there was a scene in her house, but I thought that was after the scene at the lawyer's office.
I don't know, but I remember that he has a scene with her before the lawyer's office.
Okay, well, I don't remember that scene.
He says to her, "Oh, hi, Mrs. whatever."
Yeah.
Edna, Mrs. Matthews, is what he says. He says, "Hi, Mrs. Matthews," and whatever. And because oh my god, her character, oh boy,
she's a little ditzy, but she seems kind-hearted. And she's the one that got the uncle onto art.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I guess she was the reason they got divorced. They were still close friends. They lived nearby each other. Like, I think she lived symbolically, he lived on the top of the hill, and her house was at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, that was.
So anyway, they go to the lawyer's office, Don Amici, and he reads the will, and Dale gets everything but the art.
Yep.
And that goes to the ex-wife.
Yep.
And the whole thing is the ex-wife is going to donate them. Like, she's going to donate him to museums. She says schools, which made my skin crawl. Because it was like, oh, no, filthy, grubby little chocolate-covered hands touching priceless artwork. Yeah. No, I mean, maybe she meant art schools and places that would properly take care of the artwork.
Yeah, I think that's what she meant.
I'm just but in my brain, I was like little toddlers with like disgusting, grimy, candy-covered hands just touching everything.
Yeah. And
Dale is very arrogant about this. He's very cocky. He's like, "You see, Colombo, I wouldn't even stand to benefit from my uncle's death. And it turns out that the uncle had nothing else. Like, the house was rented. And that happened before he met the landlady, because when he was talking to the landlady, it took me a second to be like, is that Dale's or that the uncle's landlady, or is that it took me a second because that happened before the landlady scene. But anyway, like, the uncle has nothing else but the art. Yeah. So Dale really inherits nothing. And they never really, I mean, sometimes, the will gets changed as a slight to the person who was the murderer usually. This time it just felt like he really just wanted the art to be given to museums, and he knew Dale wouldn't do it. So phase 3 of the plan is that Dale begins to set up the aunt, the uncle's ex-wife. Yeah. He leaves a gun planted, which is like, just on a tangent. I've been playing a lot of this game called Hitman.
Yep.
And there's this moment where, like, in the game Hitman, if like someone sees a gun lying around randomly, they immediately flip out and go find someone to tell, like a security guy. And so like as this kind of happens in that episode, a gardener finds a gun. He's like, "Oh, please, I found a gun." I'm like, well, this is familiar.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. The gardener finds a gun in a bush, and it's like right above the aunt's property. And another thing is, they establish that the person in the house was a woman. They bring in the security guy who heard the gunshot.
Yep.
And then they have a female officer run down the steps in the back of the house. And he's like, oh, that's what the sound was like.
Yep.
To establish that she was wearing heels, I guess.
Yes. I love that scene.
They know that a woman was involved in they think a woman shot him. There's a woman involved.
Yeah.
So the idea is that he's setting up his aunt, and then he ends up having to like smuggle the watercolors into the house. Well, the whole thing is Columbo's like, oh, I don't think she did it. Yeah. I don't think she did it. I think the gun was planted there. It's probably just dropped. I think she's completely innocent. And he's like, but aren't you going to search her? It's like, nah, no need to. She's legit. So Dale kind of freaks out because his whole plan revolves around her getting caught with the art. So he pressures the lawyer, Don Amici, to pressure the police to search the house. And he's like, we have to do this to clear to clear her name, and they'll find nothing, and it's all for her benefit. And they convince her to do it. And there's the classic, and we got to get this Colombo guy off the case. He's a nuisance. And of course, they think they've got Colombo off the case, and they don't.
Nope.
So he sneaks the art in just before the police show up. He hides it in the house, and the police show up, and they're searching the house, and she's a little frazzled because she doesn't know what's going on. And they find the watercolors, and they're like, "Okay, we gotta dust." And Colombo is you. I don't know, when did you peg that Colombo was acting weird? And we'll get to what I mean by that, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
When did you peg that?
That was.
For me, it was a little late. It was when they were dusting. I was like, oh.
I want to say I pegged it when he is it again? Now I'm mixing the episodes up. Is it this episode where he chastised like that? We should have had that an hour ago or whatever it was, like the fingerprints. So he says something about. Okay, maybe that was the other. Anyway, the point is, I think I pegged that as soon as a few minutes before it actually happens.
Okay. Well, the point being that Colombo has his hands shoved in his pockets.
Yeah, he's not. Exactly. Yeah,
which you wouldn't and it's one of those things like you don't really even seem to notice it until you do. Yeah. And so they're dusting the watercolors for prints, and like we found them. And Dale's like, big deal. Of course, I helped my uncle unpack, like, because they had been like loaned to a museum or something, and they just come back. So he's like, I helped my uncle unpack and pack those, and my fingerprints are all over those. And Columbo's like, oh no, not your fingerprints, sir. Remember that time in the house, which I just explained, where I touched that thing in the folio? Those are my fingerprints on that painting. And there's no way
touched my paintings. Oh my!
No. He's like, and that's when he goes, "This is entrapment. You had all the time in the world to touch those things. Blah blah blah. You just put your prints on those. Entrapment." Mm-hmm. And Columbo takes his hands out of his pockets.
And the reveal of the gloves.
Yeah. And that's where the episode ends.
Yep.
He gives a look like, you dick. And then it ends. It's so good. That ending is so good.
Yeah, it is. No, it is very good. So far, I think out of all of them so far, this one is my favorite of this season. This is by far it doesn't have every Columboism as far as like, honestly, these two episodes, I didn't even keep up with my just one more thing counter because I don't think he says it very many times.
He sort of says it once, at least.
He sort of says it once.
Says one more thing. He like this first season, it doesn't seem like he says, "Well, one more thing, sir, just one more thing." He'll go, "Oh, one more thing," like not as a Columbo, the meme, but as like a normal person saying, "Oh, one more thing."
Yeah, yeah. It's not what we
not
remember.
The meme.
Yeah, I knew, and this is what I love about Columbo, is how they pace and how they use and don't. They use music and then they use silence. and they used the sound effects because that scene transition with the car. But Dale, when am I supposed to be blah, 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 blah? Next thing you know, he's parking the car in the garage or whatever, and obviously he killed her.
I mean, they show him picking up a rock, and you hear her scream.
Wait, he picked up a rock? I thought he ran over with...
He picked up a rock and put her in the car and like pushed that over a cliff. You don't see that part. You see him pick up a rock.
Okay,
and then like the camera kind of like freeze frames, and you hear her scream. And then Columbo says that they found a car crash.
Yeah. I guess I didn't hear the scream then because I guess I must have blacked out on that part because literally that whole scene.
I thought I heard a scream. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I heard something like that, or like the music sting. There's a musical sting.
Yeah, they use musical stings for screams sometimes, and sometimes they use actual screams. And then when we get to the lawyer's office, oh man, the reading of the will. I guess, what is this? What is this supposed to be? 50s, 60s California?
73? I mean, the show started in 70, the show officially started in 73.
73, okay, yeah. So 70s California. I guess $2,000 a year for the housekeepers. I guess that's...
Oh, that must have been a fortune.
Okay. Because I don't know. Because I heard that and I'm like, $2,000 a year in the 70s in California? It didn't bump me. It's not a bad thing. I was just trying to figure it out in my head.
No, that would have been a lot of money. So Star Wars figures in the late 70s, 78, 79 were like $2 a pop. And like, to her death, my mother was bitter about that.
Right.
Like, she was like, those things cost $2 a pop. And I'm like, because in the 70s, money went like, and the housing prices in California didn't go berserk until fairly recently.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's a lot of stories about people who like, I bought my house and I just sold it for $1 million.
Yeah.
My crappy little bungalow. So, yeah, $2,000, I will look it up while you speak, and I'm pretty sure.
It was just one of those things where I was trying to do the math in my head when he said the line, and they got so ecstatic over it. And again, this is just me nitpicking because I was trying to think of what that would. There's a lot of math. You mentioned about renting. The lady mentioned that he rented the big house. I was like, when I saw that big house for just the uncle, I'm like, oh wow, that's a mansion for one. We did have.
Well, no, Dale lived there. Dale did live there, like. Okay. Because they established that Dale lived with his uncle.
That's right. So mansion for two, fine. But like,
I'm just saying.
Yeah. But like those are like, man, mansions. Oh boy. We already mentioned the ex-wife gets the art. Just do what my wife does.
She gets the art, but like she's not gonna keep it.
Yeah, no. But I'm yes.
$13,725
a year today in today's money.
$2,000 in 1973 is worth what was worth that last year.
Oh, wow!
$13,725. That ain't not bad.
That ain't not bad. That ain't not bad at all. We get one wife reference in this where he's like, just do what my wife does. I thought that was hilarious.
You have nothing to worry about. Now, did you want to go shopping?
Well, I was planning to meet some friends at the fashion center, but I can do that some other time.
No, I want you to go right ahead. And I want you to forget about all this. Just do what my wife does. Because when she hits a department store, she can forget anything. Even the fact that I'm sitting outside waiting.
Have a good time, man.
Out of all the murderers and out of all the criminals we've seen so far in these 6 episodes, is Dale the slimiest?
Ooh, the guy from Prescription Murder was pretty scummy.
Yeah.
Dale's pretty like murder. I mean, like this is stupid to say. It's a stupid way to put it, but he's the most bloodthirsty of all the little suckers so far.
Yeah, maybe I meant to write down bloodthirsty, but my
no. Slimy's
slimy as
like,
hell.
There is something scummy about him, like particularly the way he just totally like frames his aunt-in-law. Like, just that murder of the girl. Because I think there's only been one other secondary murder so far, and that was in the book one, the Spielberg one. Yeah. And that was kind of like she was blackmailing him. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying that excuses murder, but it's a little less scummy than, I trust you, we're all together, I'm turning my back on you, clock. Yeah. I mean, the blackmail woman, provoked it a little bit. Yeah. No, that murder's justifiable. I'm just saying.
No, we're not trying to justify it, folks.
Not trying to justify it.
We're trying to compare how despicable
how despicable these people are. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because, you think about,
I think Dale is the most blatant about it.
Dale, I'm comfortable saying scummy, because it is literally just for profit. Yeah. He kills the guy that put him through college. He sets up his aunt. He murders the girl that's kind of got a thing for him. He's kind of a slimy piece of crap. Yep. So far, I think he's the sleaziest. Yeah. And the most bloodthirsty. Like I said, I think there's only been one. How many? I think that he's the only other secondary murder so far, aside from the writing one, which again was a thing that he felt pressured to do. That will be going forward. Did I send you the video niceness?
Yes.
Yeah. Going forward, you'll see that a lot of times the murderers they're not just out for money or revenge. Sometimes they're kind of pushed into a situation, where they're not evil people, but they feel they have no other options. They're not, so the reverse of what we're talking about now. This guy is the quintessential, I just want this expensive painting. I am entitled to my fancy life. I'm going to murder and frame whoever gets in my way. So yeah, I'm comfortable saying he's the slimiest.
Slimiest.
So to speak.
Slimiest, yes.
I'm comfortable saying slimy so far.
Well, yeah, so far, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Comparing, no. We're not jumping ahead because we don't know.
I'm trying to think of the episodes I remember really well, and generally, I think more the ones that I remember have the more sympathetic protagonist or sympathetic murderers. Yeah. Protagonists. Oops. A little too much Hitman, buddy.
So yeah, folks, this one definitely kept my interest throughout. I'm very much looking forward to the next one. What about you?
I'm interested in what the next one. One thing I kind of liked that was we talked about the artistic touches that they have sometimes, and it was almost I almost laughed when I thought about it when the uncle gets killed because he's surrounded by art. And they kept cutting to these faces, looking and watching and judging as the music was playing, and it was, pun intended, I guess. It was kind of artistic, and it was weird and interesting and kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Yeah, it is very, very fun, and so far, out of these 9 episodes that we're going to be discussing in season 1 of Colombo, very, very good. So, overall rating, what are we giving this one?
I'm going to give it a 4. I like the artistic stuff at the beginning. I had fun making fun of his stupid Austin Powers outfit. It was cool to see Mel, the cook from Alice. There's a weird little scene where Columbo drops in on him and he's painting a model. And the easel is, again, Austin Powers. They're the way it's he's painting her, but whatever he's painting looks like flowers. But the easel blocks her body, so you can't see that she's naked. And Columbo is very uncomfortable, and she's very. It's 1973, but she's a 60s chick. Hey man, hang out, have fun. What's up? And Vic Tayback keeps yelling at her, quit moving. It's a very Columbo scene. It's very cute. We do get the Peugeot.
That's right.
We've got everything but the dog at this point, so can't give it a 5 yet. Won't get the dog until season 2. But I think, and then the ending, the ending is probably one of the best Columbo endings. It is just that whole, he pulls the gloves and just gives him that look, and then it cuts. Yeah, it's you don't need anything else. I know you said what happens next? Well, there's police all over the place. He's going to jail. He's not slipping out the back door.
Do you remember the time that I was in your apartment and you came in with some paintings and you said that they were watercolors and you wanted to evaluate them? And remember, I wanted to see them and you wouldn't let me? And I even touched them?
You touched?
Yes, my fingerprints are on those paintings. Now, if Mrs. Matthews is guilty, how could my fingerprints get on paintings that she stole?
This is entrapment. It's a setup, that's all. You touched those paintings just now while I wasn't looking. You saw him do it, didn't you? You put your prints on those paintings while you were bent over watching them when they were working on it. He touched them.
So, in my research for something that I don't even remember what we were trying to figure out earlier in this podcast episode, I found the Columbo file blog. And
now we got to change our little intro. Okay.
No. Difference? No. File as in audio file, as in PHIL. Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
Not, so the Columbo file. Yeah. But in this, he does little trivia for each. He has this whole thing. It's been going on for years now, apparently. But at the end of the suitable for framing, he goes, did you know, as well as sporting the single most 70s hairdo ever seen in this episode, Rosanna Hoffman, Tracy O'Connor, which is the girl that ends up, the accomplice, was married to none other than Colombo creator Richard Levinson. Meanwhile, after many mysteries stretching back nearly 50 years, the Columbo file can now confirm the identity of the uncredited nude model who so abashed the lieutenant, which is, I find that hilarious. And that scene with the painting, he's like, I told you to sit still. Yeah. Oh my God. That painter. Oh boy, that painter.
Vic Tayback, Mel Buchanan-Alice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Best defense is a good offense.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
No, I get the reference, but yes, I am also going to be giving this a 4 out of 5. It's almost there. It's really good. It's fun. Yeah, no, it's very, very good. It's
Again, I wouldn't I wouldn't say top 10, but top 20 maybe.
Yeah. Top 20 easily.
It's definitely a better, not better is kind of wrong, but like a fun example of Columbo.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, folks, we're going to go to a quick ad break. You're going to hear some podcast ads and some other stuff. We're going to come back to close the show right after this.
No, just business, and then collecting. Oh, collecting like some old pack rat. But how anyone could want to kill Rudy,
Toycast is back. We are talking toys once more here on the Geekcast Radio Network's Toy and Action Figure podcast. From breaking into the display case to our toy topic talk and the brand new Origins in Toy Collections, where we get guests to tell us their toy story of how they got into toy collecting. Toycast is the only toy podcast you will ever need. Find us on geekcastradio.com and any podcatching client you choose to use. Now go forth, transform and transcend your toy collecting today while listening to Toycast.
Hello, geeks and geekettes! Looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of topics? Then check out Altered Geek Unleashed, where we discuss our thoughts on this week's geeky news, tech, gaming, television shows, movies, cartoons, comics, and more. So, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. Every Friday on the Geekcast Radio Network.
Cheerscast, the podcast where everybody knows your name. Slide up to the bar alongside Ryan Daly and a rotating cast of guest hosts as they celebrate the long-running, award-winning television series, one hilarious episode at a time. New episodes of Cheerscast drop every Thursday, part of the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure the Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or GeekCastRadio.com.
On the Simplistic Reviews podcast, we talk movies. We talk TV. We talk...
Hello, Julie, what the heck are you doing?
Trying to make our spots sound more exciting by adding explosions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have got the point across with sound effects, not the real thing. Car.
Download the show on iTunes or at simplisticreviews.blogspot.com.
I'm sure your insurance company will cover that.
No, they won't.
No, they probably won't.
You know, I was kind of afraid you were going to say something like that.
All right, folks. Day 16 out of 31 here inside Studio 2009 for the 31 Days, 31 Podcasts. Hey, look, I actually, of course, in the other episode, I'll probably fix it to where I actually sound coherent, but I actually got all that out in one. Any closing thoughts for Suitable for Framing, or your overall thoughts so far 6 episodes into the overall series?
It's interesting, like, because, you know, we had the conversation about how, like, the One More Thing. You know, it is interesting to watch a show sort of build and evolve into what it's going to be. I mean, a lot's there. I think by the second episode, a lot was there. But, like, you know, the whole One More Thing. It's I'm having fun. I love the character. It's fun to watch him. It's fun to watch. You know, I don't know that a younger audience is gonna, you know, because it's got that whole sort of I don't know what a modern equivalent would be, but like Love Boat, Murder, She Wrote, that whole thing of like in the last episode I kept talking about Green Acres. In this episode I'm talking about Wild Wild West. You know, people that are familiar to me from wandering by a TV screen and seeing a show from before I was even born, but you know, but they were in heavy rotation when I was a kid. Yeah. So yeah. So there's that element that's fun. It's always fun to try to figure out, because you know there are only so many that I remember really well. So you know, like always the moment when Colombo figures out what's going on and the trying to figure out how Colombo's gonna get him. Is fun, like what he's gonna trip him up on. Sometimes they're lame, sometimes they're cool. Yeah, and it's fun. We talked about the first episode how like the phones were weird. There were rotary phones. Like you mentioned that thing about like the most 70s haircut ever, and I'm like, I don't remember it being that weird. Frankly, but like the weird. My joke about Austin Powers, you know, that he was unironically wearing that kind of outfit. Yeah, the early 70s-ness of it is fun. Like, and you know, like I said, I think in this episode, how the whole thing about the security guard checks in and is just weird. There's like little weird behavioral things that like I don't see or know or you know, it's just weird little things that like, is that how people really live? Like it's gonna be a long time, but there's like the final episode of the original run. Which is my favorite episode. The character has this habit that I've never heard of before, and that's kind of how they get him. But I'm like, I've never heard of people doing that. But like, but that's fun. Like the time machine element of it is also fun. The mystery is fun. The character is great. The weird pop culture, for me at least, nostalgia of faces that I know. You know, we will. I think this season we get Leonard Nimoy. I'm not sure. I know we get Shatner. We get Chekhov too. But like, you know, that's part of the fun. There's just a lot. Columbo is a fun show to watch. Yeah. It's got a lot going on, I guess is my point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so next episode we get Susan Clark as Beth Chadwick. Okay. Roddy McDowell is in Short Fuse.
Yes, that's a pretty good one. Roddy McDowell, of course. Fright Night, Planet of the Apes. So Big Red. They were super old.
Yeah.
Like me, just ready to go. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
Yeah, but that was a young kid.
Look, he turned to dust regardless.
Yes, very true. Yes, they're all.
Okay, I chose poorly. Is that a reference you would prefer?
There you go. That's more in line with what we old men want to. Yeah.
We don't want.
Season 2, episode 6, A Stitch in Crime is Leonard Nimoy's episode. Plays Barry Mayfield. So that's
he's a surgeon.
Very cool. Very cool. I was trying to see if Shatner and Nimoy were in the same season. No. I was trying to see if they're in the same season, but they're not.
I don't think they are. Yeah.
No, they're not.
And Keating is in the episode with Shatner. He plays a beat cop.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah, I remember I was watching. I was like, "Wait, but is that Chekhov?"
Oh man, William Shatner doesn't the William Shatner at Fade into Murder. That's season 6. That's 76, wow. 77. We had a long time till we get to that, folks.
Yeah, well, he's also in one of the 90s Renaissance ones, or whatever you want to call it. And in the 90s one, he plays a Rush Limbaugh type DJ. But in the original one, he's basically an actor on a TV show playing a quirky detective who always gets his man. It was beautiful.
That's hilarious. Oh.
And it's also Mrs. Colombo's favorite TV show, because this is at some point Mrs. Colombo becomes like I said, like her favorite TV show stars a murderer, her favorite books are written by a murderer, her favorite music is conducted by a murderer.
Jeez, Mrs. Colombo.
I know, right?
You think after all this time.
We still haven't gotten to Patrick McGowan yet. That's weird, because McGowan is in like 3 of them.
Yep.
We've gotten to Jack Cassidy. Jack Cassidy is in 3 of them. McGowan is in 3 of them.
Robert Culp shows up.
Robert Culp shows
times. He'll be Paul Hanlon in The Most Crucial Game in season 2.
Yeah, it's cute that you think I know them by the characters. I don't even remember their names when we're talking about the shows we just watched.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just I'm saying it's a distinctive difference between the character he already played.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Like McGowan plays. I mean, they're not this. We could make a joke and say they're the same character that just keeps getting away and like starts a new identity, but
that would be
like Jack Cassidy in one of them. He's a former Nazi who is a stage musician, and I forget. And then the next one and then the third one he's in. He's not an author, but he's a literary agent, which will make things completely not confusing.
Wait.
Cassidy was the guy from the Spielberg episode. He was the murderer from the Spielberg episode.
Yeah.
He plays a literary agent who's handling a guy who's writing the anarchist cookbook or something.
So I saw a name in season 2, episode 4, Dagger of the Mind.
That's the one where they go to London.
The victim is played by a guy named John Williams, and I'm like, there's no way.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's a different. It's Hugh.
Is it not enough that we have Emma Peel and Wilford Hyde White? I mean, come on, man.
Well, dude, just like how
even the guy who's the murderer was kind of famous in England, I think. Yeah, that's a fun episode.
Oh my God, that episode. So the episode with the actor is, obviously he's long gone now at this point, unfortunately, but his full name, Hugh Ernest Leo Williams, known professionally as John Williams. He plays the victim in Dagger of the Mind. The killer is, and I can't believe I can do this. This is a connection, folks. This is not saying they're in the same universe. There is a difference. The murderer is played by none other than Richard Basehart.
Yes.
Now, the only reason why I even recognize his name is because he was the narrator in 1982, from 1982 to 1986, in a dangerous world, the world of the Knight Rider. He's the narrator in Knight Rider. Yeah!
I know that. I know that Gypsy from MST3K was obsessed with him. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know he was the narrator for Knight Rider. Nice. Like I said, he's famous in England.
Knight Rider, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist.
Yeah, no, they're all famous in wherever they're famous for. But yeah, no, I just want to fairly certain. Yes, 82 to 86, he was the voice of the narrator, and he also played in the pilot episode. He actually played Wilton Knight, who died in Night of the Phoenix Part 1. So he played the main character, but yes, the voice for the introduction of Knight Rider. So yay, I can tie a podcast I did like 11 years ago to a podcast I'm doing currently now. All right, folks, I think that's going to do it for us. We hope you are enjoying the 31 Days, 31 podcast so far. I know we are in super detective mode. We've got a bunch of movies coming up, movies that I have to now switch around because of other things, and we'll see what happens with that. But for now, thank you for joining us here inside the studio. If you'd like to leave us feedback or support any of the shows, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website.
Tell us you love us.
Yes, tell us you love us.
I need it.
Yes, he does.
Weak and broken. Yeah. I do.
Well, I think we both are at this point, but okay. You can geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to and comment on all of our content. You can also hit up shop.geekcastradio.com for the holiday season and buy our merch, whether it's mugs or t-shirts or whatever. So thank you, anyone that buys any of the merch. We just started doing that the end of 2024. We had stores years ago. They went under because the websites went under and whatever. You can catch us on all the podcatching clients you choose to use, Apple, Spotify, whatever. You can follow us on Twitter at Geekcast Radio for the network, at It's Studio 2009 for the show. I am at TFG and Mike. Dave is not on social media.
No.
Become a fan. Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network, and also check out Studio 2009 podcast over there as well. Next time, we are going to be witnessing a lady in waiting with Colombo season 1, episode 7. For now, I am TFG and Mike with
Dave Draper.
You'll hear us back in the studio soon.
Thank you very much.